Finance is all about numbers, but analyzing vast amount of financial data can be overwhelming without the right tools. So today we will understand principal component analysis and survival analysis to unravel the hidden insights from the financial data. So let's get started with this principal component analysis. Now this principal component analysis is a statistical technique used to simplify complex financial data by identifying important patterns and relations. So essentially this principal component analysis takes a lot of financial data and shrinks it down into something smaller and easier to work with without losing important details. For example, imagine you have a historical stock price data for dozens of different companies. So with PC or the principal component analysis, you can compress this huge piles of numbers into just a few main ingredients called the principal components, which capture most of this interesting stuffs happening in the data. And these components helps you show how closely related the performance of different stocks really are. And by plotting their results on a chart, you can easily see which stocks move forward together and which ones go their own separate ways. And this information can then be used to inform the smart investment strategies as well as improve risk management and decision making processes involving finances. So overall, this principal component analysis provides a useful tool for gaining valuable insights from the vast quantities of financial data, making it an essential part of modern day economics and finance. So to understand this PCA well, let's discuss this Python code for this PCA. So in this code, we have first imported the pandas library to work with the spreadsheets or a table called the data frames. And also we have imported this principal component analysis module from sklearn machine learning library. And then we loaded our financial data stored in this financial data.csv into a variable called df. And next we removed any missing values and converted all columns into the numerical format. So after this processing step, we extracted the necessary features for further computation and created an array called X from the rest of the columns except the date column. And to calculate the mean and the covariance metrics, we use this mean and co function provided by NumPy. Then the singular value decomposition function was used to compute the eigen system associated with the covariance metrics. Then we choose the top 5 principal components based on their corresponding eigenvalues and compute the proportion of variation they explain. So using this initialized PCA object, we transform our original dataset into the new representation using its top 5 principal components. And finally, we visualize this results between this newly calculated principal components through a scatter plot. And this process is called principal component analysis, and this allows us to simplify this complex multidimensional data sets. So by executing these instructions, we perform PC in our financial data set using Python libraries like pandas, numpy and scikit-learn. So next comes the survival analysis. Now the survival analysis is a statistical method utilized in finance to assess the length of the time that customers remain loyal to a particular service or product, known as the survival duration. Now, the survival analysis helps business understand what factors influence customer churn rates or when they are likely to discontinue usage of that given product or services. So let us consider the scenario where a telecommunication firm wants to measure customer retention level for its mobile phone plan. So using the survival analysis, the organization can determine the likelihood that a subscriber will continue paying monthly bills beyond a defined period, say 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and so forth. Additionally, it identifies the reason why individuals abandon the plan and why they typically leave. So through survival analysis, business can recognize which clients are more susceptible to leaving and create targeted efforts aimed at boosting this client satisfaction and loyalty. So moreover, it helps establish predictive models that enable estimating future churn rates based on the previous data, making informed strategic planning feasible. So ultimately, this insightful knowledge empowers enterprises to enhance their services, optimize pricing structures, develop effective marketing campaign, and retain clients longer term. So let's understand this better using a Python code. So this program uses 3 libraries: stats models, matplotlib, and pandas. So it reads data from a CSV file called stock history CSV that contains information about the prices of a particular stock over some period. And this program calculates the cumulative returns, that is the total percentage increase in value over a given interval, which are stored in the data frame object called df. Then the user sets a target return level at 1.2, meaning any return above this point would be considered successful. And a customer function called survivor function is defined that filters out observations where the return does not exceed the target value. And this helps us focus on the investment that have a chance of meeting the goal. Then a baseline model is created using survival model provided by the stats model library, and the model assumes that the hazard rate, which represents the likelihood of failing per unit time, stays constant throughout the simulation. So after fitting this baseline model using this fit method, the survive method generates the survival probabilities based on this input data frame df, and these values tells us how likely it is that the asset won't fail before a specified date. So finally, the results obtained from this baseline model are plotted using a matplotlib library. So the horizontal axis displays the number of days passed, while vertical axis shows the accumulated gains. And this plot generated consists of two curves, that the first being the probability of failure, which decreases as we move towards the right side, and the second being the estimated timeline for attaining the set target return level, marked with the vertical dashed lines in green. So by comparing these two graphs, investors can determine whether their chosen investment strategy is feasible within that reasonable time frame, or if they need to tweak their plan accordingly. Thank you.